The project began with embroidery of a dress. I wanted to include traditional Polish handicraft in my work to honour the legacy of feminine work and art, as well as to hint toward heritage and tradition. I decided to embroider a dress to mix different techniques and floral designs. Historically, embroidery has been a significant craft and was used to strengthen clothing, but also to decorate it as well as other items in the home, which brought me to the idea of the domestic and the role of women within it. I chose a dress because dresses were not usually embroidered much. Embroidery usually showed on vests, trousers and aprons, with scarce patterns on the sleeves of dresses and blouses. Hence the dress sort of embodying all those different kinds of clothing, which is significant when considering my displacement within my own culture and heritage. Throughout the project, I was exploring paganism in connection to modern society and Catholicism as well as nature, and in extension the connection of nature to human beings and all that's man-made. I found it interesting how big of a role paganism still has in modern Polish society and tradition, the legacy that it leaves. A lot of traditions nowadays still have pagan roots, and some of them are very clearly ancestral and ritualistic or even witchy. There are many of these traditions, some of them including Andrzejki, Kupalnocka and the drowning of Marzanna. I wanted to include this legacy of a freer faith considering how conservative and religious my country is. On that note, I wanted to find out whether this pagan legacy translates into embroidery, and this is when I started looking at traditional pagan symbolism in the craft. There are many pagan symbols for natural motifs such as the earth, the sun and the moon, but what I especially wanted to include was the symbol of the goddess Mokosh. Mokosh is the Slavic goddess of harvest, sexuality and most importantly weaving, representing the traditional work of women. She is considered the patroness of women, though because of this role she was also prayed to by men as a fertility goddess. Throughout, I tied in traditional floral motifs with Slavic pagan symbolism and lavish Catholic symbolism too. I was interested in the ancestral and the contemporary in response, and so in relation to this I looked at different artists resonating with paganism and nature, including Paulina Orłowska, Zofia Stryjeńska, Zofia Rydet, Krystyna Wojtyna-Drauet and Maria Bujakowa. I also looked at the book Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, which discusses the Polish lifestyle, specifically in the countryside, in relation to animal rights and the idea that anything has the right to live, while also discussing our human relation to nature, our relationship to it.
Ślepej kurze łosto w kasę, z prądem płynie ino błoto, a tyś orłem się urodził, winnaś lecieć wysoko. Hej, w górę za góralami, łociną bruździ złego słowa. Hej, w górę za góralami, unieśmy się duchem znowa.
I left the dress half finished for the Copeland show to show a kind of unravelling and dissatisfaction. I presented it with a previous project which relates to my themes, which led to the idea of my final piece. The development and process then included a lot of sketching of designs as well as experimentation with a different fabric and ways of stitching. I also looked at traditional Polish vests and became inspired by the corset-like stitching which I imitate in the final piece. I wanted the final work to include the dress as well as photographic work and to feel more intimate than ever before, situating in a context of feminist art as well as my experience as an immigrant, as someone who doesn't quite belong in their culture, making them more inclined to discover and seek their roots.